In this video, we're going to talk about A Nightmare Returns from Hell. The Scorched are being hunted by 80 Frank's father. Alrighty then, this is a comic book review of The Scorched, issue number 44, brought to you by RatedComics. Let's get to it. So previously in The Scorched, a series of brutal murders alert the Scorched team that 80 Frank's father has returned from hell. So we begin this issue with all the murders that they're talking about. First victim here, Andy Ridge, stabbed to death in an alley. Initially, the Scorched assumed it was a robbery gone wrong. It looks like there's something bigger than that, much bigger. The next victim, Andrew Shaw, murdered in front of his girlfriend in Central Park. How you gonna do all that? But then again, that was in the last issue, The Scorched issue 43, which we did cover. Andrew Dwyer, killed in his home in what they originally assumed was a home invasion. And the latest victim, Andy Carlsberg, found at the corner newsstand he worked at. Parts of him anyway. So Detective Sam and Twitch were looking at it, and Sam asked Twitch if he noticed a pattern. And Twitch is like, I don't need an optometrist appointment if I don't see the pattern. But what we got here is a serial killer, focused on killing people named Andy with increasingly brutal methods, suggesting that with each murder, the killer is becoming more unhinged. And to what end? That's the part we need to figure out and figure out fast. So Sam tells Twitch, I'm gonna recanvas the most recent murder scene in case the cops missed something. So Twitch is like, do you want company? Ah, yes, says Sam. Another pair of eyes couldn't hurt. As they leave the office, a hellspawn emerges from the shadows. And that hellspawn is She-Spawn. Reaper asked her, what are we doing here? And she tells him, this is the office of Detective Sam Burke and Maximilian Williams. Owl's worked with them before. He says they're valuable assets and they're the best detectives he's ever met. As for why we're here, ask Redeemer. It was his idea. And Redeemer's like, I want to prepare you, let you see what we're up against. And I want you to see it as 80 Frank. So young 80 Frank, because they're, Redeemer's 80 Frank from the future and Reaper is 80 Frank from now or the past. Reaper asks, what about you? Doesn't this concern you as well as since you're from the future? Like you're me from the future? And Redeemer's like, it does. And back when I was you, this nearly destroyed me. Messed me up pretty bad and messed me up for years. So I'm trying to change the future to stop an eventual apocalypse. Take a look at this. They're calling them the Andy murders. Every victim named Andy. Yeah, like our brother. And there's a reason for that. See the eyewitness sketch? Does it look familiar? Of course it does. It's Dad, and he has a haunting flashback. You punks, next time you take out the trash when I tell you, whips him viciously with the belt. And Redeemer is like, yep, good old Officer Joe, the abusive SOB that made our lives a living hell. Even Spawn couldn't fix him, so we had to. And what Spawn did, he's referencing back in issue 27 of Spawn, sorry, not issue 27, issue 29 of Spawn, is Spawn confronted him and used his powers to put tattoos and markings all over his body saying, I beat my kids, thinking it will humble him. No, it just enraged him with more rage. But now he's back with a vengeance. And this custodian, the janitor, notices there's some voices in the room, opens the door. They're all gone. So back at the heroes' headquarters, they're like, I killed him once and I could do it again. And Redeemer's like, Reaper, relax. I used to think the same thing. It's not that easy. So stay sharp. He'll resurface again. And when he does, we're gonna send him back to hell. And She-Spawn had enough of it, like, hold up guys, I need some answers and no more of your cryptic, secretive crap. If you know the future, we need to know it too. Redeemer's like, Jessica, we already discussed this. I can't risk changing the timeline. Bull jive! Changing the future isn't the entire reason you're here, and I'm getting tired trying to guess what your game is. So talk. And Jessica shows Redeemer those hands of hers, those powerful necroplasmic hands of hers. And as Redeemer gets up, Jessica's like, or I could just beat it out of you. See, when Reaper returned, he didn't trust you. Maybe his initial instincts were right. Jess, I can't divulge what you want, at least not now. Wrong answer. See my other hand. She knocks him back like that. Everyone's got their powers back, so there's going to be a whole lot of things happening. Every 2-bit villain trying to make their mark while heaven and hell keep sending their goons to earth. So we don't have to be coy. We don't have time to be coy. You know something? Then tell us. I don't want to fight you, She-Spawn. She-Spawn's like, that's good because I'm going to fight you. Now starting to get somewhere. Start talking. And she does enough damage to Redeemer's armor. And Redeemer's like, okay, She-Spawn, just stop. You want the truth? Here it is. When I say I can't tell you, I literally can't because I don't remember. But you said you knew the future, says She-Spawn. Yeah, some things, like some big things, like Nick's taking over hell, my father's return, an eventual apocalypse, but the rest of my memory has holes like Swiss cheese, and I don't know if it's getting worse. Maybe it's because I've lived for so long, but something's wrong with my brain. But before she can get more into that, okay, I guess we're gonna go with that. Mark tells him, sorry to interrupt you guys, but we need to move. Has the killer resurfaced? That's her question, and the answer is big time, he has. There was some groundbreaking ceremony for a new high-rise uptown with the city councilman. His name is Andrew Hopkins, and he's leading the ceremony. And City Hall assigned him extra police protection because of Andy Killer's murders, but it turns out that was a problem because it turned into a bloody massacre. They've sealed the area off for now, and he's having his way with all them citizens, but the team quickly finds that location. And Officer Joe's like, I was wondering how long it'll take you to get your attention. Now that you're here, those butts are mine. And I'm glad you came, Eddie. Is that you hiding behind that mask? See, I came back to you, for you, to punish you for being a bad son. And Redeemer, or Eddie Frank from the future is like, man, we're not hiding. We're both Eddie. And blasts him back. And you can tell he puts a hole in his chest like that. But good old Officer Joe heals from that, and he tells him, good, because it wouldn't be fun to kill you just once. I'm gonna kill you over and over again. But Medieval Spawn is tired of hearing the bravado of a madman, so he lets his actions do all the talking by slicing his arms clean off. And Officer Joe calls them cowards because you guys are too afraid to face me on your own. You need your own little gang, is that it? I don't blame you though. You're all gonna need all the help you can get. Watch me some of my gang because I brought my own gang, alright? So we get this monologue right here. Their dad, Officer Joe, when they were young, he would beat them for no good reason. The slightest affront to their father's manliness triggered an almost instant rage inside of him. Time after time, Eddie and his little brother Andy took the blows like that an adult will just quiver of taking. Eddie knew that his little brother can take it and that he'll survive, but the sight of his smaller brother being battered finally made him snap. And so on that fateful day, little 10-year-old Eddie took his father's gun from his holster and put a bullet in his head. The sight of seeing this man again makes his stomach sick. So She-Spawn looks at Viscera like, oh, girl, you're behind this? And Viscera is like, yes, I made a mistake for my first time, dear She-Spawn. I thought it'd be best to take you on as individuals, but now I understand the Scorched is a team. So I've collected a team of my own, and at long last, we finished this. And that is the end of A Nightmare Returns from Hell, and the Scorched are hunting and now found Eddie's father, and they're ready to do this dance. So what you guys think of this comic book? Comment below, let me know. I'm looking forward to the next issue, and I told you this issue was gangster, and I'm looking forward to more. So don't forget to check out RatedComics.com for some really cool limited print Rated Comics exclusives to add to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. But with all that being said, thank you again for watching. Till the next upload.